It all began on a quiet afternoon in Louisiana, when Mrs. Trahan, a careful driver and devoted grandmother, was heading home after visiting her daughter. The air was warm, the sun bright, and traffic was light. Nothing unusual, nothing to warn her that a single moment was about to change her week, her patience, and her faith in people. As she slowed down to make a turn, a small car suddenly pulled out from the side street. The driver, a young woman named Kim, didn't look both ways. Tires screeched, a horn blared, and in seconds the two cars collided. It wasn't a major crash. No one was hurt, but both vehicles suffered visible damage. Mrs. Trahan's bumper was cracked and her trunk bent inward. Kim's car had scratches along the side. When they stepped out, the air filled with tension. Kim immediately looked nervous, clutching her phone, mumbling apologies, but refusing to admit fault. Mrs. Trahan, calm but firm, asked for insurance information. Kim hesitated. She said the accident wasn't her fault, that Mrs. Trahan had been driving too fast, but Mrs. Trahan knew better. The road was clear, her speed steady, and witnesses nearby nodded in agreement. Days later, after no progress and plenty of unanswered calls, Mrs. Trahan decided to take the matter to Judge Judy. Inside the famous courtroom, the tension returned. Mrs. Trahan sat on one side, holding her repair estimates, photos of her damaged car neatly printed. On the other side sat Kim, confident at first, dressed casually, clutching her phone as if it might save her. When Judge Judy entered, the room fell silent. Her sharp eyes scanned the paperwork, then each woman in turn. "All right," she said. "Tell me what happened." Mrs. Trahan spoke clearly, explaining how Kim pulled out suddenly from a side street without looking, causing the collision. She handed over the photos and the police report. Kim interrupted several times, insisting that Mrs. Trahan had been going too fast, but Judy quickly stopped her. "Don't interrupt when I'm listening," she warned. Bird, ever calm and observant, passed the documents to the judge. Judge Judy studied them for a long moment, then looked directly at Kim. "You were coming out of a parking lot?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am," Kim answered quietly. "Then you yield," Judy said firmly. "If you come out of a private driveway or parking lot, you yield to oncoming traffic. That's the law. You can't just pull out and hope for the best." Kim's confidence wavered. Her excuses began to crumble as Judge Judy continued questioning. The photos clearly showed the direction of impact. The front of Kim's car hitting the side of Mrs. Trahan's. "You're responsible," Judy declared. "You caused the accident." Mrs. Trahan remained polite, explaining the cost of the repairs. Around $500. She'd already paid part of it out of pocket, waiting for reimbursement that never came. Kim tried to argue that the damages weren't that high, but she had no receipts, no proof, nothing to back her words. When Judge Judy asked her if she had photos of her own car, Kim shook her head. "Then you don't have a case," Judy said, her voice sharp but fair. The courtroom was quiet for a moment, only the sound of paper shuffling and the faint creak of chairs. Finally, Judge Judy looked at Mrs. Trahan. "You seem like a reasonable woman," she said. "You didn't ask for more than what's fair. Judgment in your favor." Bird nodded and repeated the verdict. Kim stood silent, her earlier confidence gone. Mrs. Trahan smiled softly, not out of victory, but relief. Justice, she felt, had finally been done. As the cameras rolled for the closing shot, Judge Judy leaned back and gave her final word of wisdom. "Simple, sharp, and unforgettable. Accidents happen," she said. "But when you're wrong, take responsibility. That's how grown-ups live in the world." Outside the courtroom, Mrs. Trahan thanked Bird and walked out with her head high. Kim slipped away quietly, phone in hand, perhaps realizing that no excuse can hide the truth when the facts are clear. And so, what began as a small fender bender ended with a lesson broadcast to millions. Honesty matters more than pride. And in Judge Judy's courtroom, truth always wins.